As I lie paralyzed on the floor of the tunnel, the screams and gunfire seems to extend for an eternity. Where I'd expect my shoulder to be on fire from the gashes gouged into it, I can only feel a seeping cold of that deadness, the feeling in my entire body. I desperately tried to move my limbs, but to no avail. Maybe it's not poison. Maybe when you hit that wall you just broke your damn neck. How do you get to wait until your turn on the dinner plate? Suddenly the ceiling starts moving. It's Sergeant Troy, pulling me backwards up towards the tunnel in my body armor. Come on, sir, let's go. I told you. We'll be pulling your ass out of the fire if this thing turns sideways. Just didn't figure it was going to be this damn literal. I tried to respond, but even not my vocal cords wouldn't cooperate. Got to be in the poison then? Broken neck wouldn't keep me from walking. I wonder if it was fatal or the effects are just temporarily. I wonder if I get the chance to find out. God, how terrible. I might not even be able to scream while I'm being eaten. We don't make it very far. Troy isn't in very bad shape by all means, but he's trying to drag over 200 pounds of dead weight uphill at any sign of speed that is almost impossible under the best conditions. When these days definitely aren't. After only for a few seconds, the last of the gunshots and moans briefly give way to a pregnant silence before the monster lets out a loose, triumphant roar. Its hunt is at end, and now the familiar sound of the creature's movement starts again. Looking over me back to the tunnel, Troy sees it coming. Almost gently as he lays me to the ground, before raising his weapon and stepping over my body, positioning himself between me and the oncoming horror. The rumbling is impossibly loud. If I weren't completely numb, could probably feel the very walls of the tunnel shaking. Troy begins firing. Hey, you ugly monster! You want him? You're gonna have to come through me! Sorry, you sack of shit! Damn it! Troy drops his rifle and transitions to his pistol, but that's the only thing that was on him. Tentacles wrapping around his waist and neck lift him to the air and towards his savoring jaws. Screw you! Troy empties the entire magazine into the monster's face, and almost at the point-blank range, it roars fury and reels back slightly before covering, whipping my platoon sergeant like a rag doll and slamming him against one of the stone walls. Then, another again and again. I can hear bones snapping with every impact. Finally it stops and holds Troy's broken body up to its massive head. Suspended from his arms and held cautiously above its open maw. Then all the unbelievable and fantastic happenings of that day, almost according to cures. The creature starts to speak. Its voice is harsh, like a bandsaw cutting through metal, and it sounds utterly wrong coming from such a being. Despite that, I have no problem interpreting its words. Foolish mortal! You wouldn't stand a chance against the other born of the outer dark. We, who would have ruled this world since the immortal. You throw yourself in the shallow life away, but fear not, your sacrifice is not in vain. Indeed, this one hungers you misguided courage and will be the most satisfying. Your royalty and savory, take pride and little morsel and sustenance give your master. With that, it began to slowly move to lower Troy into its jaws, beginning obvious pleasure in anticipation. I redoubled my mental efforts, but my limbs still wouldn't respond. Damn it, no! Not like this! Not like this! No! The word is like going, filling and reverberating through the air, even though I know it's only in my head. I feel a blinding heat radiating from my head, pushing back into the terrible cold of the creature's poison. I realize that I'm still holding the stone. Somehow the monster hears the pronouncement as well, causing it to pause and shift its gaze onto me. Impossible! The light is lost! The sleepers are no more! Suddenly I can move again. I leap onto my feet. The paralyzing numbness of a few moments ago, already a distant memory. The relic glows with a tremble light. Its character's center place and markings burning brightly around the sun. Whether it's some reflex or from the mental nudges of the stone. I raised a hand holding it towards the monster. The heat continues to build until it feels through my entire body being filled with it. Too much more for me to contain. So much that it will surely burst if I don't release it. So do I. The entirety of the power conceals with a tiny ball somewhere deep in my chest. Before shooting down my arm towards the stone, an enormous wash of flames erupts from the center of the relic, blasts and the monster full on its horrific face, its head catching on fire. The fiend rears back its full height, and its mouth is open as silent as a scream of agony. The tentacles holding Sergeant Troy neatly seared off and drops bonelessly onto the ground with the heap. I still rushed to my fallen platoon sergeant. There was no time to check and see if he was alive. We needed to get out of here right now before the thing recovers. Remains of the power was still being throughout my body, and I pick up Troy up and throw him across my shoulders. As easily as I would a child, I began running up the hill towards the entrance. We could just make the section near the entryway, marked by the strange runes, when my supernatural strength begins to fade. The open entrance beacons as I struggle towards it, every step harder than the last. Now with that strength of that relic faded and all that, remains of it is overwhelming with exhaustion. Even more or so go due to the extra energy I have expended completely. My limbs are wooden planks that fight against my mental commands, although throughout my night vision goggles were broken at the monster threw me against the wall. The flashing lighting from the storm raging outside and was still present. Mental urges from the relic guide my way. The creature screams behind me. No! This cannot be! The mother will not allow, impudent child. I will feast on your soul! With a roar, it throws itself forward in pursuit. I chance glance backwards to see it coming by the light of the storm and the glowing runes. Its many legs churning terribly. Its eyes have melted and blinded by the fire. Its rage is the only thing driving it forward, and it's slowly moving too quickly, gaining ground far too fast. A last burst of efforts sent me through the entrance and out onto the hollowing storm before I stumble and sprawl out onto the ground, the dead weight of Troy's body pinning me down. Desperately, I tried to roll out from under him, struggling to reach the mentor in my pocket. The creature is the only 50 feet away down from the tunnel when I managed to grasp at the device, disalarm the safety, and squeeze the trigger. Sergeant Troy made his preparations well. Instantly, upon activating the detonator, a deep boom emits from the inside of the entrance and the tunnel collapses upon itself. The creature issues its final scream, echoing over and above the fury as the storm as I watched. It burned my tons and tons of unfeeling rock. I have no way of knowing for sure if it's alive or dead, but at least for the time being, it won't be able to follow us. It's over. With no time to bask in my victory, I instantly turned my attention to my platoon sergeant. I slipped the relic into my pocket before gently rolling him over, supporting his neck, trying to find a pulse. I found a great swell of relief when I found one, weak but steadily. His breath was shallow and requires immediate medical attention. but Troy is alive. My driver Robinson comes up sprinting from the truck. "Oh my God, sir! What the hell happened here? Where is everybody?" "We were the only ones who made it. No time to explain. But we can't stay here. We have to get Sergeant Troy back to the patrol base and get him to a bird to the Spisher ASAP. Then we can worry about the others. Help me get him into the trucks with the doc. Then we would call him back and tell the first squad to get a medevac inbound." "Roger, sir, but I think we might have a problem with that. I've been trying to call for the last hour or so, but couldn't get a response. I think the storm's interfering with the commands." "Damn it, okay, but we have to move. Help me get him up." We managed to wrestle Sergeant Troy's limp body onto the truck with my medic, who immediately begins working on him. "Jesus, he's really bad, sir, but if we can get a bird, he's got the chance. Might be tricky convincing Hire to authorize one of this storm." "I don't give a shit about that. Keep working on him, Doc. Let's go. We're wasting time. Everybody's mount up. White light the whole way back. Convoy speed as fast as you can without flipping a vehicle. I'll keep trying to reach the patrol base on commands." Fortunately, my earlier fears of getting trucks stuck due to the rain were unfounded. Whether by luck or fortune, the ground was solid enough that we made it back onto the roadway without any issues. We are soon speeding along the path and the highway back towards the patrol base. I continued to try and raise a third squad team on the guard, but just as Robinson said, the only thing I got on the radio was static. If we get back and they find we're screwing off, I might as well just kill a lot of them myself. We must make the trip less than a half a time to get back to the cave. With 25 minutes, we rolled through the gate of the patrol base. I jumped down and ran over to the truck with the medic to help lift Troy down on the stretcher, and we began to carry him inside. I think I got him stabilized, or we'll just need a medvac in here, and within the hour, I think he's gonna make it. I'm not as sharp as I am usually guaranteed. I am exhausted. A bit distracted by the events that have unfolded already this evening, and currently preoccupied with trying to save the life of my platoon sergeant. Nevertheless, I like to think there would be typically notice on how obnoxiously dark and quiet the patrol base was. The telling lack of a guard at the entrance, nor of anyone to greet us when we came in, but for some reason, three things don't register. Needless to say, I am completely surprised when the bomb goes off. "Wake up, Melissa Michael." A voice urges me out of blackness, and I have no idea how long I've been out. Surrounded by unarmed militants, I am tied to a chair. Looking around, I'm seeing outside my command post, and the radios and computers stacked onto a smoking pile of metal and wires. Across from the Robinson and Sergeant Troy are tied to chairs in familiar fashion. My platoon sergeant is still unconscious. Next to him stands Tahari Al-Quasem. Robinson was awake, and as obvious had been torture. Shallow cuts all over his body, and the moans, to me, were from the mouth of mush and his teeth unwillingly removed. Shh, shh, shh. Don't kill the of us. They said they're gonna... Bang. Tahari draws his pistol and casually shoots the driver in the head. My head is swimming. "Tahari, you frickin' animal! What did you do? What the hell did you do?" The thug smiles. Melissa Michael, do I really need to explain this to you too? He then leans forward, sinking in of sweat and blood. "I hate you. You Americans stink. That you know what's best for my country? You know nothing. I would do anything at all to rid myself of all your kind. I would go as far as into the desert searching for the beast, a legend, and bear it at the barest chance that might help me drive you out of my home." He then steps away and walks over behind Troy, merging the runes and holding it in its prison. Was easy enough, The necessary sacrifices to engage its services were disasterful, I suppose, but I have many more men and I could offer up 1,000 children if it means the power to be done with the American occupation and for it all. As if he was talking, I started saying the work in my head with my free into my pocket, where I feel the relic, and it still sits. If I can get it. You were supposed to die in that cave, Muslim Michael, yet you are alive and whole. He then strokes Troy's head, pulling it back by the hair and baring his neck, and if it's managed to end your pathetic existence, I would have never escorted you to those direct methods. With the other hand of my removes the large couture knife from his belt. Allison may not be. Fortunately, I have no problem getting my hands dirty from time to time. Akil deaf to the infidel. My squirming hand gasps at the relic at the exact moment. Tahari plunges the knife into Troy's throat. My vision went red with rage. Death. The power fills me instantaneously, somehow even with greater than before. A star, gone supernova, appearing in space where my heart should be. An explosion. As closely related to the earlier bomb beast, I had just had a hurricane to a raindrop. Obliterates the chair that I'm strapped into in the room, and everyone in it. They have no time to cry out, no time to even realize what was happening. The purifying fire of indiscriminate, and complete destruction. I collapse onto the ground, and the ruins of the command post around me. The roof is mostly gone along with the walls. The still falling rain washes over me and begins to pull out the smoldering wreckage. Blessed blackness calls into my mind. Exhausted from a night of terror and sorrow, gladly answers. I fall into unconsciousness, uncaring if I ever will wake up.